scale of this building is hard to grasp, even when you're right next to it.
Do you ever feel really small when you think about space? What about when you're standing next to a skyscraper or a really big bridge? Well, I feel about as small as an ant right now. I'm standing inside the vehicle assembly building trying to grasp how large it really is in here. It has 4 bays. Each bay has 2 large horizontal doors below it and 7 smaller vertically opening doors above it, tall enough to fit the world's largest rocket through. In fact, these are the largest doors in the world.
Construction of the VAB required 65,000 cubic yards of concrete, 45,000 steel beams, 1 million steel bolts amounting to almost 100,000 tons of steel. Notice the flag painted on the outside of the VAB? It's the size of a 21-story building. The blue section alone is the size of an NBA basketball court. Each star is 6 feet across, and each red and white stripe is wide enough for this bus to drive down.
Crawler Transporter number 2 at Kennedy Space Center. Crawler Transporter number 2 will be used for the SLS program to take the launch vehicle back and forth to the pad. We will begin by going underneath the mobile launcher. We'll pick it up, we'll take it over to the VAB. They'll then assemble the launch vehicle on top of the mobile launcher, and then we'll come back to the VAB. We'll slide underneath it again, we'll pick it up.
Includes all of these buildings about to come up on the right side of the bus and 2 launch pads, 39A and 39B, a few miles away from here. Why the number 39? Because they were the 39th set of launch pads to be built here at the time. But more about the launch pads in a moment. In all of these buildings, you've got offices, computer labs, science labs, fabrication facilities, maintenance shops, even more. Going on inside of our vehicle assembly building currently, NASA is stacking the Space Launch System rocket that will be used for the Artemis II mission. In Artemis II, they will send 4 astronauts to fly around the moon. Of the rocket, so far, they have both solid rocket boosters and that big orange external tank put together. The next step will be to put the stage adapter on top of the external tank. So there's still some more assembly and a lot more integration and testing to be done yet before the rocket's ready. Also, coming up on the right is where we keep both of our crawler transporters parked, identical twins. First up, crawler number 1 doesn't get out too much anymore. Directly right, crawler 1. That's why the cleats on its tracks are that dark rusty red. Next up, crawler number 2, directly right. That's the one that's been upgraded to carry the heavier weight of the Artemis equipment. Behind them, there's a big yellow crane that's building a tower with some orange on it. That tower with the orange is a mobile launcher that NASA plans to use to launch its heavy lift version of the Space Launch System rocket. They estimate that rocket will be 385 feet tall, so they still have to add some more segments on top of that tower yet.
This is a minigame called golf. Oh, yeah.
service module attached at that time. We never trained for that. This is one of touch and go, one of the things that, but you'd be surprised how fast you learn when you're in trouble.
So I'm looking over here to Launch Complex 39A, and this is where Apollo 11 left for the moon. Most of the shuttle flights were also launched here. This is now leased to SpaceX for the commercial crew program. The Falcon 9 rocket is launched with the Dragon, and you can see that on the new larger tower is for Starship, which should be hopefully getting launched from here later this year. If I move over now to 39B, and this is the site from where the Space Launch System will be launching. Artemis 1 was launched here, and Artemis 2 is due to be launched here next year, which will be the first flight back to the moon since Apollo 17 in December 1972. The various Apollo and the shuttle missions there, and it was this launch pad that the Challenger had its last launch from. So here we can see the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building. To the left of it we can see the construction of the second mobile launch platform, which is be used in the uprated version of the SLS rocket, and that's under construction at the moment. The Artemis 2 Space Launch System rocket is currently inside the Vehicle Assembly Building. The spacecraft adapter, the launch was the last part that's stacked. That was done, I think, last week. And so the twin solid rocket boosters and the core stage. So basically the whole rocket is assembled, and at some point, I think it's later this month or coming up shortly, will be the Orion spaceship will be put on top of the rocket. They're talking at the moment about possible launch in February, though it still can. It's the basic date of it is September next year, but it could we think come forward to about February. I'm taking these pictures just outside the Saturn V centre. So I think we're something like 3 miles away from the vehicle assembly building. And we can see the different launch pads. So away in the distance over here, focus, I think this is Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral. It's from there where the Starliner, the Boeing capsule was launched with Sonny and Butch. It's also here that SpaceX, I watched a rocket launch from here last night. The Falcon 9 launches are done over in this area as well. And commercial astronauts, again, the Boeing crew were the first commercial astronauts, the first people to be launched since the Mercury era. And of course, I'm forgetting Apollo 7. Apollo 7 was launched at Launch Complex 37, but all the later stuff was at 39A and 39B. And over here we've got the communications tower. So this is what you see outside the Saturn V centre.
No, ma kiedyś tak nie było, jak 10 klatek na pracę i